A convicted Capitol rioter who is currently serving a 55-month sentence in federal jail has petitioned the courts to let him go ahead and get out of jail because he has totally learned his lesson, because he now understands that at the time of the Capitol riot, January 6, 2021, he was manipulated by people like Donald Trump and, of course, Fox News. It's not his fault. It's his fault, obviously. He takes responsibility for what he did, but he says, it's totally because all of these outside factors were just messing with my head and kind of made me do horrible things. Now, before I read you exactly what is in this petition for compassionate release or sentence reduction, I want to point out how stupid that argument is. And honestly, how dangerous that argument is. If anything, if you're sitting there arguing that, hey, look, I'm so feeble-minded that all it takes is kind of a little bitty push and I go off the deep end and break federal laws, if that's the kind of person you are, then you don't need to be a free member of society. You need help, and not just being locked away in prison. These people need mental help. And I do not think they are getting it in prison, and that is very unfortunate for them. But here is what the petition says. He states that he and, quote, so many others were, quote, persuaded by then President Donald J. Trump that he had irrefutable evidence that he had been cheated by a rigged election. A large group of hardworking, red-blooded Americans were influenced by Trump and felt obligated to act on his behalf to save the country. He then goes on to say that the most powerful man in the world used his influence, quote, to manipulate others in carrying out his missions while staying above the fray. It was an obligation or patriotic duty to ensure the saving of the republic. The nature of his crimes against the United States, despite having been misled to believe that they were acts of patriotism at the time, has said that he will live now with forever with a cloud of shame over his head. He said it was easy for many to ask how he could have listened to any man and been so naive, but said that there were, quote, was a collective of individuals that were highly prominent that promoted this idea that the government was under attack. He said he's since learned better. He said if it hadn't been for the disinformation, quote, peddled by powerfully influential people and news outlets such as Fox News that encouraged such actions on January 6th, if these influential individuals had not peddled such fraudulent claims, he would have been there for his grandparents that both passed away this year. In addition to this, he would have been in the lives of his children, both physically and financially, to support them from home. He would also, of course, be a hard-working, tax-paying. He made sure to point out that, hey, I can pay taxes if I'm out of jail. Listen, I get it. It is a bit of a sob story. I feel bad for you as a human being for not being there when your grandparents passed away. I feel bad for you that you're not there for your children. I feel bad for your children. I do. I'm not a heartless monster. But this individual, let me pull this back out here because, what he was accused of, this is pretty significant here. Let me find it. The man was wearing a Trump hat and a Reagan Bush 84 sweatshirt during the Capitol attack, and he yelled, pull the police out, pull the cops out, and grab their hands and pull them out during the battle, then unloaded a fire extinguisher-sized canister of OC spray on officers in the tunnel, according to evidence shown at the trial. He then bashed a Capitol window and entered into a suite of Senate hideaway offices that were assigned to Republican senators. And you think just, serving year and a half-ish, whatever it's been in jail is good enough for that? Even though you've totally learned your lesson, even though we have no evidence, it's not mentioned in here that I've seen that you're getting psychiatric help to not be so easily manipulated in the future? Sorry, no. The earliest this guy could end up being released is July 15th of 2025. So he's got a year and a half to go before he's even eligible for release, assuming good behavior. And unfortunately, that's what these folks need. They should not be given leniency. Oh, I've learned my lesson. Yeah, I'm sure you did once those prison doors slammed shut behind you. Once you felt those cold steel bars, I'm sure reality set in. But you did these things. Yes, you were manipulated by others, but that doesn't change the fact that you did them of your own free will. And unfortunately, you just got to pay the price for that.